YouTube, I would like to welcome you all to the Zach Zeiler Show, and today I'm presenting you guys with a brand new installment. This is something that I asked all of you on my social media whether or not you'd be interested in, and the majority of you guys said yes, go about making this. So, if I'm honest, I'm not really sure how I'm going to do this. I put together a small timeline of photos, basically to go over my lifestyle and my physical fitness and wellness from my time of being a youngster to present day. And I'm not going to talk about every last aspect, but I want to give you guys an idea as to who I am as a person and give you guys a better understanding and hope that many of you guys will relate to me now in a way that you didn't relate to me before. So, to start off, just admire the Indominus Rex background, and we will get started by opening the album of photos I have put together. And the definition of genetics, you guys, it's obviously passed down traits and characteristics from your mother and father. So when I say we're going to talk about my genetics, we're not going to go into that type of detail and whatnot. I just want to show you guys, I just want to give you guys a greater understanding about my physicality and the progression I made throughout the years. I basically want to give you guys a new look into different information and show you new photos that I haven't really released or showed before and just talk about them. So I'm going to do the best that I can to make this interesting. It's going to be difficult, but I'm sure you guys will get some enjoyment out of it, at least I hope. So, let's just start off talking about my childhood in general. Throughout my childhood, I was extremely active. My brother and my older sister, the three of us were extremely active, and we were always running around. We were always outside, we were always playing sports, and we were overall just very active as kids. And with all of that large amount of activity, I of course had a very fast metabolism. And not only that, but I have been extremely lean for my entire life. I've always had a six-pack, I've always had a set of abs, and I've always had a decent amount of muscularity and muscular definition. It's just something that I've always had, whether it be because of my metabolism, whether it be because of my active lifestyle, I don't know. But even if you look at this picture right here, I have a complete set of abs at whatever age I was in this picture. I'm not even sure. It just doesn't look right. It's kind of weird going back and looking at some of these photos because I don't remember having that much definition in my body. Like even my chest and stuff like that. I was just a lean individual overall. So throughout my years as a youngster, I was extremely imaginative. Going back 15 plus years ago, I used to think that I was part velociraptor. And you guys may think that I'm joking around, but I used to run around outside, run around our house with my arms tucked in, my back hunched over. I used to roar like a velociraptor, and I used to chase our pets, neighbors, relatives, and my siblings. And I legitimately thought I was a dinosaur or some shit. And not only that, that imagination that I carried with me throughout the years really allowed me to excel in things like sports and whatnot. And not really at an early age, but throughout middle school when I became a middle schooler. And one thing that I became very passionate about and something that I became very obsessed with was basketball. And that started out in elementary school, going into middle school. I was very passionate about basketball, and I was very serious about improving my skills and practicing to become the best possible basketball player that I could. Oh, and by the way, I'm representing that shredded brand at an early age right here. So, I've been lean my whole life, and it's always been a struggle for me to gain body fat. In terms of my eating habits, my brother and I were very picky. By the way, check out Corey's vacuum in this picture. That's pretty impressive. We've always been really picky. Our parents had us have our balanced 3 meals a day, our lunch, breakfast, and dinner. And it was always a struggle to get us to eat because we were so picky. I can remember back that I would prefer having cold cereal over anything else. And it really took my parents sitting us down, forcing us to eat dinner to keep us from having our typical cold cereal and chicken McNuggets. So in terms of my nutrition, I would say that my eating habits were pretty damn good. I did like to snack, and I still like to snack today. However, I could get away with whatever food that I consumed, and I would not see any changes in body fat whatsoever. Now we're getting into like the middle school pictures. These all right here are now the middle school era. Throughout my childhood, I would be outside with my cousins, my friends, my brother, playing sports on a daily basis. Whether it be football, baseball, stickball, wiffle ball, basketball, soccer, you name it, we were outside all the time. In my middle school years, I ran track, I played basketball, I played football, and I think that's all. But back then, I was as passionate about basketball as I am about bodybuilding today. And I want you guys to just think about that for a second, because I took basketball that seriously. I had an obsession with NBA players. Some of the people who left an impact me when I was growing up was Vince Carter and Michael Jordan. And I just overall was very dedicated to playing basketball. It was during my middle school era that I learned about the relationship between hard work and seeing results for that hard work, if that makes any sense. Because I became so obsessed with basketball, and I wanted to become the best possible player that I could. I wanted to be competitive with the players on my team, as well as better than everyone on my team, if I'm honest. And so I would come home after school every single day and practice for an hour. And that eventually led to me becoming even more passionate about it and more serious about it. So I would wake up before school every day, an hour early, and I would practice basketball outside. And I was lucky because we had a basketball hoop with lights at the top, and so I could practice in the dark. So I would do that every morning. And at that time, I figured I should become more physically fit. And I don't mean by bodybuilding standards or anything like that. I just wanted to become the best possible athlete that I could. And so I would alternate. I would wake up one morning an hour early and I'd run on the treadmill. The next morning I would wake up and I would practice basketball. And then the next morning I would come in our basement and I would work out on our Bowflex. And if you guys don't know what a Bowflex is, then I would urge you to Google it, because that was where the majority of my workouts started, was with a Bowflex machine and with several calisthenic bodyweight type exercises. We had a couple of dumbbells where I would do curls, pistol squats, and stuff like that, but it was nothing that serious. And I can remember that around that time I invested in getting myself a pair of jump soles. And if you don't know what jump soles are, another Google search. They are attachments that link to your shoe, your basketball shoes, and you do several workouts in them in order to increase your vertical jump. And I saved up all my strawberry picking money to buy these jump soles, and so I would go through and do my plyometric workouts every other day or every other few days, however it was. I just followed the workouts basically in the routine, and I increased my vertical jump. One of the goals that I had throughout middle school was to be able to dunk a 10-foot rim. That was a huge goal that I had and a huge ambition that I carried with me throughout middle school. And by the end of my middle school career, going into becoming a freshman in high school, I was able to dunk a small basketball my freshman year of high school. And I could never actually palm a regulation size ball, and so I didn't ever actually fulfill that dream of dunking a regular ball. But it was just the aspect that I worked so hard and I went through all these workouts to increase my vertical jump, and I did so. Several inches too. So after a while, these workouts really started to add up. And all of these pictures right here are really from my late middle school days. And you can see my arm genetics. Look at where my deltoid attaches. Look at where my tricep attaches, and look at my biceps insertions. Some of these pictures really do speak for themselves, that I discovered the relationship, the parallel between wanting something and working for it. And the work that I put in ended up speaking with results. And a lot of people took notice, too, to the fact that I was becoming more muscular, more defined, and more athletic. And I did get better in basketball. I was never the best. I was never the best point guard that I could be. But I improved from season to season, and that's all I could have did. So, along with basketball, I also ran track. And here's another picture of me pole vaulting. I became very passionate about pole vaulting as well. After track practice was over, a group of friends and I would stay after practice for 2 to 3 hours and practice pole vaulting. And as a result of all of that, the handful of us became some of the best pole vaulters around because of the time that we put in and the effort we put towards getting better at pole vaulting. These pictures aren't the best of quality too. Here's another picture of where my vertical was increasing. I don't remember what year that was though. And a few more pictures of some of my results. And I think this was either my freshman year, or I'm pretty confident these pictures are from my freshman year. And of course they're those douchebag MySpace pictures, the majority of them. And I was never like a super muscular kid. I was just athletic, and I was lean. So that's what these pictures here represent, the majority of them. A bunch of stereotypical selfies. So right here was my freshman year, and this is my sophomore year in high school. And this picture is of my scheduling for chemotherapy and radiation therapy. So by the time of this picture, I had already become diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in my neck, otherwise known as cancer. So the rest of these pictures that you're about to see, I haven't really talked about them too much. We will kind of breeze through them because I think they're all pictures that you have seen before in the past. But this picture is to have my surgery to have my chemotherapy port put into my chest. That's what all of these are. I want to find the first picture of my chemo. Alright, excuse me. I don't remember if this is where my chemo started or this one right here. I think this picture represents the first day of chemotherapy. And this is where everything was set into reality for myself. Throughout my years as a teen, I had always considered myself invincible. I thought nothing bad could ever happen to me, and I could never be touched, if that makes any sense. It was the first day of chemo that reality was set in for me. Sure, I could handle people telling me that I had cancer. And sure, I could handle people saying that I had to go through chemo and radiation. But at that time, I didn't really understand what that meant, and I didn't really take into consideration everything I was about to lose. I figured I would continue my sophomore year in high school. I would continue to be able to hang out with my friends and family. I thought I'd be able to continue to be with Tara, my new girlfriend at the time, and be hanging out with her on a daily basis. I thought nothing would change. I would just have to go to the hospital a couple of times a week, get the chemo drugs pumped into my system, and go on from there. But very quickly, I came to the realization that I wasn't invincible, and the chemo started to take its toll. So, people usually go about chemotherapy in one of two ways. Either you handle it very well, you don't have any problems with it, you don't get too sick at all, or you handle it in a very negative way. I was one of the people who handled it in a very negative way, and there wasn't anything I could do about it. It was just how my body reacted to the drugs being pumped into my system. And for those of you guys who don't understand what chemotherapy is, it not only kills the cancer cells in your body, but it also kills you as an individual physically, spiritually, and mentally in its own way. It kills you. And I was one of the people who had a very hard time going through chemo. Everything that I worked hard for, basketball, my high school band, becoming a percussionist, I lost it all. I was sick on a daily basis. I was in the hospital for weeks at a time, and here is where my hair actually started to come out. But I just had a very rough time, and I lost so much weight. That's one of the side effects of chemo. I refused to eat, and even when the hospital was trying to force me to eat their hospital food, I just refused to do it, and when I did actually take in food, I would end up getting sick, and it would come out of my system. So it was a very rough time in my life, and a very dark time in my life. But I am very lucky to be able to say today that I had so many people by my side, so many people there to support me, and if I didn't have the people there that I had, I don't think I could have made it through it, if I'm honest. And I could be the type of person who just takes acceptance and says, you know what, I did it all by myself, I had no help, but I don't want to do that. I had an amazing girlfriend, Tara, who is still with me today after 6 years. She was by my side for every surgery, every doctor appointment. Every time that I needed her, she was there for me. My family, my brother, my sister, Tara's family, everybody. I had so many people by my side, and I am so thankful for that to this day. And that's a big thing, you guys, that you need to understand. In whatever obstacles you're facing, know that there's people there who care about you. And don't be afraid to ask for help or ask for assistance, because you shouldn't have to travel any road alone, especially a terrible obstacle of any sort. So, we'll get through the rest of these pictures here really quick. There isn't much to say. I mean, I was a skeleton. You guys could see it. I need to go through and make a video where I actually talk about some of my experiences with chemo and radiation, because I haven't really did that before. I know I want to remain a fitness channel, but I think I can help out with some people going through a similar situation. I've went through it. I've been near death, and I feel like there's plenty of other people out there who relate to me and what I've been through. So, here's the mask to have my radiation. I was actually strapped down to a table in order for them to go about my radiation therapy, but this, we'll just say this picture marks the end of my chemo and radiation and cancer treatments. This is the end of it right here. So, at this time, I had immediately been lifting weights. During my radiation treatments, I started lifting weights, although I was told I shouldn't be by my doctors, because I still had my chemo port. You can see that in my chest in this picture right here. That's my chemo port. They didn't want me exercising in an intense manner because it could damage that port or something like that. They wanted me to wait for surgery to be completed. But I did it anyways. After my treatments, I was at my absolute lowest. I was weak, and I was very frustrated and angry. Through the treatments themselves, I often questioned why I had to go through it at such a young age. Why did I have to go through this? So by the end of it, I feel like I developed a new set of values, a new respect for life itself. I realized that I wasn't invincible, and I realized that every single day is an opportunity, and tomorrow I could be diagnosed with cancer again, or tomorrow something even worse could end up happening. So I realized that I have to take advantage of every single day that I have. And after my treatments were completed, I needed a source of therapy, something to take out my aggression on, and I discovered that through weight training and lifting weights. This is the final picture before my chemo port was taken out. I don't even remember how much I weighed back then. And I was finally able to get back to my normal activities. My high school band, I began running track again, playing basketball again, and I wasn't a competitive athlete anymore. In all honesty, it was about proving it to myself that I could go back after all of this struggle, after all that I had been through, and be able to push myself and apply myself again. And I really forced myself, and at times looking back, I probably shouldn't have pushed myself to the extremes that I did, but at the same time, I feel as though I came out stronger and have built myself as a result of all of it. So the majority of what I did, I believe, was basement workouts. I had I traded my old PlayStation 3 for a really crappy bench press from one of my friends. And I used that and the bar that came with it for various workouts, some squats, a bunch of different barbell rows, some deadlifts and stuff like that. But it wasn't anything to the extreme. I believe the bar only went up to 100 pounds. So eventually I asked my parents for a gym membership, and we got this amazing deal somewhere for me to join a gym. Going through some of these. Here's a picture of me. I think it's my junior year of track. I was back to participating in our track program. And by this time, all of my friends were 10 times better than me at pole vaulting. I couldn't keep up. It was a struggle to keep up with many of the kids in our sprinting drills and stuff like that. I was just excited to be back and feeling like I was supposed to be back in school again and back with my friends. So here's another checkup here. And so it begins right here. Some of the progress photos that I took over the years. And the progression, very slow. I actually became frustrated all the time, but there was a lot of motivation along the way that I received, whether it be people complimenting me at school and saying, wow, your arms are getting bigger, or wow, your chest is actually coming in. And so that all served as motivation for me to keep pushing myself. And this outlet that I developed, this weight training had become such an important way for me to take out these frustrations that it became more and more of an obsession. And I had become more fascinated with bodybuilding itself, and I did more and more research. I had always been trying to better myself in terms of nutrition, training, and I started to learn more and more and apply it to myself on my journey to getting fit. So I hadn't joined a gym by this time yet, I don't think. It wasn't until a year of training at home alone that my weight training in a gym or fitness facility took place. And here we are, my senior year of varsity basketball. This is something I was very used to, sitting the bench. Or no, this was my junior year because I didn't play basketball my senior year. This was my junior year of basketball, and I made varsity. And I was very used to sitting the bench because, like I said before, I was very far behind everyone at this point in time. So I didn't get a whole lot of play time. Just the fact that I made varsity was something I was proud of, though. So this is still my junior year. Here's a screenshot from one of our video projects I took with some of my good friends in high school. So some more selfies and whatnot. I don't really know what to call them. I just wanted to have a way and means of tracking my progression. That's what all these pictures were about. A way of me to be able to go back and say, wow, I came back from this, or I built myself from this point. And that's what I do to this day when I look at these pictures. Full Slim Shady mode here. I actually dyed my hair blonde. The whole track team did when we went to team states. My junior year, I think it was. So that's why my hair is blonde in many of these pictures. And I was experimenting with some modeling Hollister type pictures, I guess. And I actually almost modeled for Hollister my senior year of high school. I actually went to an interview and everything and got the job, but I never went back to follow up with it. And I'm kind of glad that I didn't at this point because, I don't know. But that's what a lot of these pictures are. Just some experimental posing and stuff. I definitely didn't know how to pose, but that's all this stuff is. Progression pics, right? Just a bunch of random pictures. This was my Make-A-Wish. And for my Make-A-Wish, I went on a shopping spree and I got myself a MacBook Pro and I think a new iPad. And that's where my editing started, is with that new MacBook Pro. And I started messing around with editing photos, taking videos, and that's where I started throwing up some of my first YouTube videos too, if you guys go back and watch those. And here is the summertime before my senior year. That's what these pictures all represent. Here's one of my senior pictures. A country boy, aren't I? Some biceps. I think that was homecoming. And at this time, I had my gym membership for sure. I mean, I probably had it for a good 6 months or so before this picture, I think. But I started lifting weights, and the bodybuilding training started at this point. When I joined a gym, I started to apply bodybuilding training to myself, and I don't mean that lightly. I used to literally watch videos of Mr. Olympia competitors, Jay Cutler, Ronnie Coleman, you name them, and I used to apply their training techniques, their amount of training volume to myself. I was a noob. I didn't know what I was doing. So that was my means of training, was looking up videos, watching all these Olympia competitors and whatnot, and pro bodybuilders, thinking that they were natural and applying their bodybuilding techniques to myself. And at first, I'm sure it wasn't too beneficial, but that training volume, doing that at such an early state in my training techniques, I think it's carried with me today in the amount of volume that I do nowadays and whatnot. So whether it was a positive or negative, I'll never know for sure. Who is to say? Here is a picture that was featured in our local newspaper of me pole vaulting my senior year, and here's another picture with Tara my senior year of track. And of course, I graduated. So I probably missed out on a lot of pictures from my senior year, but here is our Florida trip in the summer. This is actually like a few days after I graduated that we went to Florida, so the gains were loyal, but they weren't like insane by any means. So that's what a lot of these are. I was more interested with bodybuilding than what I had ever been. Look at that side triceps. I knew how to pose a little bit back then. Not to sound like a cocky prick, but my damn arm looks so enormous in this picture. My calves don't look half bad either. And here's my graduation party. So after I graduated, I had all of summer to get really serious about bodybuilding before I went to college. And I did just that. I became obsessed with bodybuilding and I learned everything that I could. Constant research, leading to more research, leading to more research. And I started to see great results. I mean, I still consider this probably a period of beginner gains. So this was the period of time where I gained the most muscle mass possible. And I did a lot of experimenting with going to the gym 2 times a week, and then that led to 3 times a week, which then led to 4, 5, 6, and back then I ended up going up to 7 days a week of training. And my philosophy behind that was actually smarter than what I thought it would have been. I trained every muscle group twice a week, giving everything 48 hours rest to fully recover and fully recuperate between workouts. I got made fun of from friends and other people throughout my life for pursuing this in the way that I did and treating it as an obsession, but that's going to happen in whatever you pursue in life, and you can't let that bring you down. So the progression came in epic proportions, and it was that relationship of the harder I worked and the more workouts I went through and the harder I cracked down on getting my calories in and focusing on nutrition, the greater the results were. And these pictures are basically leading up to the beginning of my Instagram. So I'm not going to go too far into all of these or anything, but if you go to the bottom of my Instagram and scroll your way up, these are the beginning pictures, for the most part, of where my gains started, more photo shoots. And it's really skipping ahead, a lot of these. So if you guys want to see more of these in this area and time period, go to my Instagram. I probably will make a separate video at some point talking about my early years of lifting and stuff like that, and go through Facebook photos and such. So with this video, I really wanted to give you guys a better understanding of my childhood, the lifestyle I've had throughout the years, and just the physical fitness that I've held since I was very little. And it's hard to talk about genetics. It's hard to say what kind of genetics I have. I don't think I have over-the-top best bodybuilder genetics ever. I think I have great genetics for staying lean, having such a fast metabolism, and being able to get away with eating fatty foods and not gaining any body fat from it. That is just the body type that I have. If I wanted to bulk up to 200 pounds right now, it would be very difficult for me, and I would have to consume thousands and thousands of calories on a daily basis in order to do so. So in a way, I would say that I'm blessed in many different aspects, and I can't really contribute it to anything other than just genetics, just getting a lucky card. And I'm sure many of you guys relate to me too in the fact that you struggle to gain body fat and you're just a lean individual. It's not a bad thing, it's just the card we've been given, right? So I hope this was a cool video. It's always nice to mix it up from the normal uploads and such. And please leave some feedback below. Give me your guys' opinions as to what you would like to see from this. Would you want to see me go and talk about my whole come up or whatever right after chemo treatments and such? And make similar videos to this, because if you didn't enjoy this, then I won't do it. But I asked you guys across my widespread of social media, and the majority of you seemed interested in watching a video like this, so I figured I would put something together. I talked about everything I really wanted to touch upon. If you have any questions, comment below. And I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for your never-ending support, and thank you so much for just giving me new opportunities every single day. Until next time, this is Zach Zeiler. Peace out. Bye.